You've been fasting for weeks, maybe even months, and yet the belly fat that once seemed to melt away just won't budge anymore. You're skipping meals, watching the clock, maybe even extending your fasts, but the mirror doesn't reflect the effort you're putting in. It's frustrating, isn't it? Especially when fasting used to work so well in the beginning. You're not imagining it. Many people hit this same wall. At first, fasting feels like magic. Your energy rises, the scale moves, and clothes fit better. Then, almost overnight, everything stalls. You're doing the same routine, but your body just doesn't respond the way it used to. Here's the truth: most people never hear fasting doesn't stop working because you're doing it wrong. It stops working because your insulin never fully drops. Even tiny, unintentional mistakes can keep insulin slightly elevated, just high enough to block fat burning around your midsection. And when insulin stays up, even a little, your body can't tap into stored fat for fuel. What causes this? It could be your fasting window timing, the way you break your fast, hidden calories in your coffee, or even what you eat the night before. These small habits seem harmless, but they quietly undo the hormonal balance that fasting relies on. Fasting success isn't just about not eating, it's about creating the right hormonal rhythm. When you're fasting, refeeding, and sleep patterns align, your body naturally lowers insulin, burns fat efficiently, and restores that early progress you remember. So, if your belly fat has stopped responding, don't give up. You're not broken. Your strategy just needs a small scientific tweak. Let's uncover the most common fasting mistakes keeping you stuck and how to fix them fast. Most people think fasting means no food, but in reality, fasting is a hormonal state, not just a time window without eating. And the hormone that decides whether you're burning fat or storing it is insulin. When insulin is low, your body can finally tap into stored fat for energy. But when insulin is even slightly elevated, the switch flips off. Fat burning halts. Here's where most people unknowingly sabotage their fast. You wake up determined to fast cleanly, but then you pour a splash of cream into your coffee. Just a little? You tell yourself? Maybe you add collagen powder or use a flavored drink with a touch of stevia. These seem like harmless choices, but to your body, they're not invisible. That small sip signals digestion, triggering a rise in insulin that quietly ends your fast. Think of insulin like a dimmer switch, not just on or off, but adjustable. Every calorie containing sip or bite raises the dial a little. It doesn't take much to move your body out of the fat-burning zone. Even tiny spikes in insulin tell your cells, hold on to the fat, more fuel is coming. So, even though you're technically fasting, your metabolism is still stuck in storage mode. It's like trying to dry clothes in a dryer that keeps getting wet again. Every time insulin rises, even for a few minutes, your body resets back to fat storing mode. And the most frustrating part, you never even notice it happening, because your total calorie intake might still be low, yet the hormonal signals are blocking fat release. Flavored waters, zero sugar, energy drinks, gum, mints, and even vitamin powders can do this too. Many contain artificial sweeteners or amino acids that your body interprets as nutrients. These create a small but measurable insulin response. You might still feel hungry during your fast. That's often the giveaway. True fasting hunger fades after a few hours, but insulin spikes can restart cravings, making your fast feel harder than it should. So, what does a clean fast actually look like? It's simpler than most people think. During your fasting window, the safest choices are plain water, black coffee, plain green or herbal tea, and zero-calorie electrolytes that don't use sweeteners. If you need flavor, try a squeeze of lemon. It's minimal enough to stay within the fasting zone for most people. Another key is awareness around snack creep. Maybe you're not eating during your fasting hours, but your feeding window has stretched longer than you realize. A handful of nuts here, a bite of leftovers there. Each one can create a small insulin pulse that lingers for hours. When you stack those throughout the day, insulin never fully clears, even overnight. That's why some people fast 16 hours but never reach true fat burning mode. Think of your fast like keeping a campfire burning. When insulin is high, it's like throwing wet logs on the fire. It smolders and struggles. When insulin drops, your body can finally burn cleanly, pulling energy from stored fat. The key is keeping the flame steady, uninterrupted by small insulin splashes. If black coffee feels too bitter, give your taste buds a few days to adjust. They will. Try grinding fresh beans or using a pinch of salt to soften the acidity. If you've been using sweetened beverages, transition gradually, one less sweetener at a time. The goal isn't perfection overnight, but consistency. Your body rewards that discipline faster than you expect. The beauty of this change is how quickly it compounds. Once you maintain truly low insulin levels for several hours at a time, your body relearns how to burn fat efficiently. You'll notice smoother energy, fewer cravings, and that subtle sense of lightness returning. Remember, Fasting isn't about suffering or deprivation. It's about restoring your body's natural rhythm. Every clean fast you complete trains your metabolism to trust that food will come, but not yet, so it can safely burn stored fat in the meantime. Once insulin stays truly low, your body finally starts burning belly fat again. Most people assume that the longer or later they fast, the better the results. But the truth is, when you fast matters almost as much as how you fast. Your body isn't just a machine that turns on and off with the clock. It runs on a 24-hour hormonal rhythm. And if your fasting schedule is out of sync with that rhythm, your metabolism can become confused, stressed, and ultimately resistant to fat loss. Here's what happens: your body operates on a built-in circadian rhythm, the same internal clock that tells you when to wake up, eat, and sleep. Hormones like cortisol, insulin, melatonin, and growth hormone rise and fall naturally throughout the day to keep your metabolism balanced. When your eating and fasting patterns align with those cycles, your body thrives. But when they don't, you can trigger stress responses that block fat burning. For example, cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, peaks early in the morning to help you wake up and energize for the day. This is actually the ideal time to begin your activity and, for many people, start eating. But if you push your first meal too far into the afternoon, cortisol can stay elevated for too long. That constant stress signal can lead to blood sugar swings, cravings, and even muscle breakdown. You might feel alert, but your body's secretly hoarding fat, especially around the belly. Many people fall into the pattern of skipping breakfast inconsistently. One day they fast until noon. Another day they eat at 9, depending on their schedule. To your hormones, that inconsistency feels like chaos. Your body doesn't know when to expect food, so it becomes conservative, holding on to fat to prepare for uncertainty. On the other hand, eating too late in the evening creates another set of problems. Your metabolism naturally slows after sunset. Insulin sensitivity drops, melatonin rises to prepare you for sleep, and digestion slows down. So when you eat late, even if it's within your fasting window, you're more likely to store those calories as fat rather than burn them. It's like asking your body to run a marathon at midnight. It can do it, but not efficiently. This is where metabolic timing comes in. The goal is to fast in harmony with your natural rhythm. For most people, this means finishing the last meal earlier in the evening and starting the fast before bedtime. An eating window that begins mid to late morning and ends by early evening often works best. It allows insulin to drop overnight while giving your body enough time to rest and repair. For example, try an eating window from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You'll be fasting through the night while your hormones are already primed for fat burning. In this setup, cortisol helps mobilize fat in the morning, insulin stays low throughout the day, and growth hormone rises at night to rebuild lean tissue. Everything flows in the direction of balance and repair. Contrast that with a late eating window, say 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. At first, it might feel convenient, especially if you're busy in the mornings. But by eating close to bedtime, you force your body to digest when it should be detoxifying and restoring. Cortisol stays elevated, melatonin can't do its job properly, and insulin remains higher than it should overnight. You wake up groggy, hungry, and more prone to store fat. Your metabolism loves routine. Once you train it to expect food and fasting at predictable times, your hormones fall into rhythm. Hunger signals quiet down, energy levels stabilize, and fat burning feels natural again. This is why some people see a dramatic difference in results simply by shifting their fasting window earlier, even if they eat the same foods. If your fasting progress has stalled, look at your timing first. Ask yourself, am I fasting when my body wants to rest or when it wants to burn? Try sensing your fast with daylight hours and see how your energy, sleep, and fat loss improve. Fasting is most powerful when it supports your hormones, not when it fights them. When fasting matches your hormones, your body stops fighting and starts burning. You've made it through your fast. The hard part is over, or so it seems. But what you eat in the first 30 minutes after your fast can completely change whether your body continues burning fat or instantly switches back to storing it. Most people don't realize that the first bite after a fast acts like a hormonal trigger. It tells your metabolism what to do next: store or burn. Think of that first bite as a switch. If you break your fast with something sweet or carb-heavy, like fruit juice, toast, cereal, or even a healthy smoothie, you flip that switch toward storage mode. Here's why: after hours of fasting, your insulin levels are beautifully low. The moment you introduce fast digesting carbs, insulin spikes sharply. Your body goes from fat burning to glucose burning within minutes. That spike doesn't just stop fat loss. It also triggers hunger and cravings. You've probably felt it before you eat breakfast, but an hour later, you're starving again. That's not a lack of willpower, it's the rebound effect of insulin. After fasting, your cells are extremely sensitive to insulin, which means they absorb sugar rapidly. That might sound good, but it leads to a quick drop in blood sugar right after the spike, leaving you tired, cranky, and craving more food. Instead of coasting through the day with stable energy, you end up in a cycle of highs and lows. Your body keeps asking for more glucose to fix the crash. Now, imagine doing the opposite. Instead of reaching for a carb-heavy meal, you break your fast with protein and healthy fats. Protein gives your cells what they need to repair, while fats slow digestion and keep insulin low. Together, they extend the fat-burning window you worked so hard to create during your fast. Think of it like this. If fasting opens the door to fat burning, your first meal decides whether you walk through it or slam it shut. A protein-rich meal tells your body, we're still in burn mode. Insulin stays steady, blood sugar remains balanced, and hunger quiets down naturally. A good post-fast meal could look like scrambled eggs cooked in olive oil or grass-fed butter, paired with avocado and leafy greens. Or try a simple bowl of plain Greek yogurt topped with a few nuts and seeds. If you prefer something light, bone broth with a few slices of chicken or salmon works beautifully. The idea is to start with whole foods that are rich in nutrients but low in quick carbs. Once you've stabilized with protein and fat, you can introduce clean carbs later in your eating window, things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, or berries. By saving those for later, you let your metabolism burn fat longer before switching to glucose. It's not about cutting carbs forever, it's about choosing when they serve your body best. There's also a psychological benefit to breaking your fast cleanly. When you start with nutrient-dense foods, your brain receives a strong satiety signal, the "I'm nourished" message. That single decision can reset your entire day's appetite. But if you start with sugar or refined carbs, you kick off a roller coaster that's hard to get off. Another common mistake is breaking a fast with a large meal too quickly. After a long fast, your digestive enzymes and gut lining are in a resting state. Flooding them with a huge carb-heavy plate can cause bloating, fatigue, or discomfort. Instead, start small, eat slowly, and give your body 15 to 20 minutes to register fullness. It's also worth mentioning drinks that disguise themselves as healthy, like oat milk lattes, fruit smoothies, or flavored protein shakes. Many of these are loaded with sugars that undo your fast instantly. Always read labels. If your goal is fat loss and metabolic healing, simplicity wins every time. The most successful intermittent fasters understand this principle. Deeply fasting isn't just about what you avoid, but how you re-enter eating. That transition determines whether your body continues to burn fat or slips back into storage mode. So, as you end your next fast, pause for a moment before that first bite. Ask yourself, is this choice signaling my body to store or to burn? Because the truth is simple. The way you end your fast is just as important as how long you fast. There's a fine line between fasting for fat loss and fasting to the point where your body starts fighting back. Many people believe that if a 16-hour fast works, then a 20-hour or 24-hour fast must work even better. But this more is better mindset often backfires. Instead of speeding up results, it slows them down, and it's not your fault. Your body isn't broken, it's just protecting you. When fasting goes on too long or happens too often, your body begins to sense stress. The first hormonal response is an increase in cortisol, your primary stress hormone. Cortisol is meant to help you stay alert and energized during fasting by releasing stored glucose. But when fasting becomes chronic, cortisol stays elevated for too long, keeping your body in a mild fight-or-flight state. This constant stress signal blocks fat loss, especially around the belly. Ironically, it's the very area most people are trying to shrink. Here's the science behind it. Prolonged cortisol elevation can interfere with thyroid hormones, the ones that regulate your metabolism. When your thyroid senses too much stress, it slows your metabolic rate to conserve energy. You might notice fatigue, colder hands and feet, or slower fat loss even though you're eating less. That's your body's way of saying, I need rest, not more restriction. Moreover, fasting can also lead to muscle loss. When your body runs low on accessible energy, it may begin to break down lean muscle tissue for fuel. Muscle isn't just for strength. It's your metabolic engine. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn, even at rest. So when muscle mass drops, fat burning slows dramatically. You may weigh less temporarily, but long-term progress stalls because your metabolism has downshifted. This is where fasting fatigue sets in. You feel drained, hungry, and mentally foggy. You might push through it, believing this discomfort means you're detoxing or burning fat. But what's really happening is hormonal imbalance. Cortisol stays high, thyroid function slows, and insulin resistance can creep back in. Your body starts storing energy again, usually right around the waistline. The solution isn't to quit fasting, it's to fast smarter. Shorter, more strategic fasts allow your hormones to reset without overwhelming your system. Instead of fasting longer and harder, try alternating between different lengths. For example, Do a 14 to 16-hour fast most days, and once or twice a week, go a bit longer, maybe 18 hours. Then, take a day or two to eat normally with balanced, nutrient-dense meals. This variation signals safety to your body. It tells your metabolism, you're not in danger. Fuel is coming. That reassurance keeps cortisol low and fat burning steady. Think of fasting like exercise. You wouldn't do an intense workout every single day without rest. Your body needs recovery to get stronger. The same applies to fasting. Rest days don't reverse progress. They accelerate it by restoring hormonal balance and keeping metabolism active. You'll know you've crossed the line into fasting if you start experiencing certain warning signs: constant fatigue, disrupted sleep, low mood, hair thinning, or stubborn weight plateaus. These are not signs that fasting has stopped working. They're signs your body is asking for balance. If you've been doing long fasts and not seeing results, try shortening your window for a few weeks. Eat within 10 to 12 hours, focusing on protein, rich meals, and whole foods. You may be surprised to see better energy, improved sleep, and even renewed fat loss. That's your metabolism breathing a sigh of relief. A healthy fasting routine should feel supportive, not punishing. It should make you more energetic, focused, and balanced, not drained or deprived. When you pair consistency with flexibility, your hormones start to work with you again instead of against you. You don't need longer fasts, you need smarter ones. By respecting your body's need for fuel, rest, and rhythm, you create a sustainable path to lasting fat loss. One that supports your hormones rather than stressing them. Balance is the secret, not burnout. After a successful fast, most people feel a mix of pride and relief. The hard part is done, and now it's finally time to eat. But this is the exact moment when many undo all their progress without realizing it. The first meal after fasting isn't just about satisfying hunger. It's about how your body transitions back into its fed state. And what you eat during that window determines whether you stay in fat burning mode or immediately switch back to storing fat. Here's what most people don't realize. Right after a fast, your insulin sensitivity is at its highest. This means your body is extremely efficient at absorbing nutrients. But it also means it will store whatever you give it very quickly. If your first meal is full of refined carbs or sugar, your insulin levels spike sharply. That surge tells your body, fuel is here, start storing. Instead of continuing to burn fat, your metabolism begins packing away energy as body fat, especially around the belly. Think of your metabolism like a sponge after fasting. It's dry, ready to absorb whatever you pour on it. If you pour in sugar and starches, it soaks those up immediately and locks them away as fat. But if you start with protein and healthy fats, your body uses that fuel to repair cells, rebuild muscle, and continue burning stored fat for energy. The first thing that hits the sponge sets the tone for everything that follows. Overeating after fasting is another common trap. When your appetite hormones, ghrelin and leptin, are out of sync from fasting, it's easy to eat past fullness. You might tell yourself, I've earned this, or I'll make up for it with a longer fast tomorrow. But large refeed meals cause a massive insulin spike, which cancels the very benefit you built during your fasting window. The result is a frustrating cycle. You fast hard, eat hard, and never see the scale move. The key is gradual, intentional refeeding. When you break your fast, start small. Have a meal rich in protein, like eggs, fish, or chicken, paired with healthy fats such as avocado or olive oil. Protein first signals your body to repair and rebuild. It also helps slow digestion, so your blood sugar rises gently instead of spiking. Once your body feels stable and satisfied, you can introduce complex carbohydrates like vegetables, quinoa, or a small portion of fruit. By easing back into eating this way, you give insulin time to rise and fall naturally. You stay in that sweet spot of metabolic flexibility, where your body can switch between burning carbs and fat with ease. This is how fasting becomes sustainable and effective long-term, not just a short burst of results. It also helps to approach refeeding with awareness, not urgency. Many people eat quickly after fasting because hunger cues return strongly, but this makes it easy to overshoot your needs. Slow down. Eat mindfully, chew thoroughly, and give your brain time to register that food is coming in. Often, just 5 to 10 minutes of slower eating prevents overeating entirely. Another overlooked part of the refeed window is hydration and electrolytes. During fasting, your body flushes out water and sodium. Reintroducing food without replenishing electrolytes can lead to bloating or fatigue. A simple way to prevent this is to sip water with a pinch of sea salt or a 0-calorie electrolyte before your first bite. It helps your digestion and energy remain stable as you re-enter the fed state. If you've been fasting consistently but not seeing changes in belly fat, look closely at what happens after the fast ends. Are you rewarding yourself with carb, heavy meals, or sugary snacks? Are you eating quickly or too much at once? Small changes here can reignite your fat loss without altering your fasting window at all. The goal isn't to avoid eating. It's to refuel intelligently. Your post-fast meals should restore energy and nutrients without flooding your system. When you feed your body with purpose, your hormones stay balanced, insulin remains steady, and your metabolism stays active. Remember, fasting creates the opportunity for fat loss, but refeeding determines whether that opportunity lasts. The two work hand in hand. You can't outfast poor refeeding habits, and you don't need to. Once you understand the science, you can enjoy food again without sabotaging progress. After fasting, your metabolism is like a sponge. What you feed it first sets the tone. Refuel wisely, and your body stays in burn mode, not storage mode.